Alright, hey everyone, this is Daishi speaking. I'm going to attempt to play through Trilby's notes once again. Unfortunately, my blind playthrough did not go as planned and half of it was cut off, so we'll see if I can't rectify that this time around. Hopefully, we get through the entire game. I'm not going to use the tutorial and I'm not going to use the commentary. The game is still quite scary even when even when you sort of know what's coming, because you don't actually always know what's coming. So let's just enjoy Trilby's notes. Oh. The following documents are taken from the handwritten notes of Trilby, an STP field operative whose real name remains classified. Game over. Oops, I can click. That's what I thought as I stood and watched DeFoe Manor collapse in flaming ash. The ordeal was over. Those 5 days cost us all so much. Philip and AJ paid with their lives. They were the fortunate ones. Jim Fowler was expelled from school for truancy, a bright future in tatters. Simone Taylor took to the bottle. Her broadcasts became slurred, her eyes hollow and unwelcoming. She soon vanished from television screens. As for me, I tried to return to life as a cat burglar, but I had been forever tainted by my time spent in that wretched house. The memories of my possession came back in my nightmares. Every night I was there again, in the mansion, staring out through unfamiliar eyes as Philip died at my hands. I became convinced that John DeFoe was not at rest, that someday he would return for me. I became so terrified of invisible enemies that I forgot about the tangible ones. Trilby caught! 2 slow, miserable years after DeFoe Manor, a barrage of truncheon blows taught me a harsh lesson in reality, and I woke up in the kind of filthy cell I assumed would be my new home. But then he came, the man from the government with his nervous smile, offering an alternative. The STP, the Special Talent Project. It hadn't been that much earlier that I would have sooner died than entered an obligation with anyone, least of all the government, had DeFoe Manor changed me so much. Whatever my reasons, I left my past behind and resolved to give my new superiors nothing to complain about. I spent a year and a half completing assignments, developing contacts, building a reputation, and then the past caught up. In the summer of 1997, I became concerned about Simone Taylor's mental well-being. The papers were reporting her continual breakdown, and she had become a virtual recluse. I had no idea if my appearance would assist or hinder. I had, after all, deliberately allowed her to think me dead. Presumably she knew differently now, after the media coverage of my arrest, but I would expect her to be bitter about my subterfuge. On balance, I decided that a meeting with an old friend would most likely be beneficial. I came to her apartment building on a warm, stormy night and braced myself for the encounter. Alright, so also you'll notice there are watermarks on this one. It's because I had to use a new software since Trilby games don't seem to agree very much with Hypercam. So here we go. By the way, if you haven't played it, instead of a point and click, it's a parser text system. I knocked sharply upon Simone's door. Receiving no reply, I knocked again, louder. Still no response. The doorman had assured me Simone was in. I decided it was time to enter by my own methods. Look at your inventory. So I've got lockpicks. Use lockpicks. I reasoned that Simone could have been in trouble, and even if she wasn't, then at worst I was only playing to my reputation. I spent a few minutes feverishly picking the lock, then let myself in. Ooh, creepy. In the developer's commentary, Yahtzee mentions that this was a scene from his original sequel to 5 Days a Stranger, but when he trashed the sequel, he kept this scene specifically for this episode, which is, I believe, the 3rd in the series. Discovered a blind hanging down over the window. Look through window. The storm continued outside. Wonder why only part of the light was entering the room. Open blind. I pulled open the blind. Well, nothing's happening. Oh! There we go! I believe there may be a body here. Real body. The body on the floor was undoubtedly Simone. I felt for a pulse and my hands came away stained with long-cooled blood. My fingers traced the outline of a large wound in her torso, slashed by a big weapon wielded by a big assailant. I called for an ambulance, as futile as it would be, and left before they arrived. Due to me being a clear murder suspect, I was relieved from duty for the week. I was relieved for the duty for the week it took for the Ministry of Occultism to inspect the flat and confirm supernatural activity. My superiors simultaneously apologized and assigned me to investigate if there was a connection to the DeFoe Manor incident. Merely reading those 3 words capitalized on the front of a loose-leaf file brought the nightmares back with more intensity than ever. Sure enough, a field agent reported that leaders had discovered and sold several artifacts from the mansion, including the wooden idol that housed John DeFoe's soul. To my surprise, no murders had been reported or committed by anyone who had come into contact with the accursed trinket. I did not find this reassuring. I quickly advised James Fowler to go into hiding. He was stunned, but agreed. The boy had sense and still respected my judgment. This done, I began following the idol's trail. From the pawn shop, I had entered possession of one Professor Abed Chahal, an authoritative historian. He had scheduled some kind of antique fair in the Clanbranwyn Hotel on a small island off the coast of Anglesey, popular with tourists. Assuming the role of a scholar of antiquities, I booked a room. On the 28th of July, 1997, I caught a ferry from Portlachogue in Anglesey and arrived at around 3 p.m. in Clanbranwyn Hotel, or Clanbranwyn's island coastal village. It seemed a peaceful hamlet, and, in defiance of stereotype, the locals were welcoming and told me no local legends to dissuade me from exploring the island. The Clanbranwyn Hotel was in the island center, surrounded by forest. I made my way there on foot. You're Trilby, right? As soon as I arrived, I was greeted by a balding man in a grey anorak. I wondered if I was expected to know who he was. That depends. My name is Lankman. I'm with the Ministry of Occultism. Oh? I thought the Ministry were clear on the fact that I was handling this on my own. Maybe there's still people who don't trust you, Mr. Trilby. What? I haven't stolen anything since I joined the STP. Your colorful past is not what concerns my superiors. It hasn't gone unnoticed that your history with the DeFoe Wraith influences you psychologically. I'm sure you resist it, but it could still cause you to act irrationally, disobey orders. Everyone just feels a little safer with someone else on the ground. See, you can rest assured that I will endeavor to maintain absolute professionalism on this assignment. Nevertheless, I have my orders. I'd suggest we keep out of each other's way, then, and pursue separate investigations. I'm sure I don't want to get mixed up in a reunion. Alright, so, let's see. I watched him disappear around the corner of the building. I very much doubted that Lankman and I would become friends. The Clanbranwyn Hotel lobby was a warm welcome. The building was certainly well maintained, and yet there was something about it that nagged at the back of my mind, quickening my pulse. I dismissed the sensation, an act which, in retrospect, I would come to regret. Good evening. Terence Relby. I have a reservation. Ah, yes, you're here for the antique fair. We've put you in room 3C on the 3rd floor, if you'd just like to sign the check-in book. Hello, Bethan. Just letting you know I'll be having dinner in my room today. That's absolutely fine, Professor. This, I decided, was what they called a golden opportunity. Professor Chahal. Yes? I'm afraid you have me at disadvantage. Relby, Terence Relby. We met at Sotheby's a few months ago. Oh, you don't remember me? No, of course I do. Terry Relby, how have you been? The astute reader had already guessed that both Terence Trilby and the previous meeting were utter fiction. I'd spent some time studying Chahle's movements and habits. He was, by all accounts, absent-minded, and that was something I could use. I'm well, thanks. I was hoping I'd run into you. I've heard interesting things about the items you're showcasing here. You remember I do freelance scouting for some wealthy collectors? Yes. Well, a client of mine has expressed interest in relics from DeFoe Manor in Buckinghamshire. He's been on my back for a while about it. Between you and me, he seems pretty obsessed. What remained of Professor Chale's suspicion melted away from his expression as the opportunity to make money entered the conversation. Well, I'm sure I wouldn't want to damage your professional status. Would you like to come up to my room for drinks? Oh, I don't want to impose. No imposition at all. Please, follow me. Your room key, Mr. Trilby. Oh, please lead the way, Professor. Who's your friend? Oh, let me introduce you. This is my personal assistant, Siobhan. She accompanies me on most of my excursions. Siobhan, this is Mr. Trilby, an old acquaintance. He's looking for information on DeFoe Manor artifacts. Oh, really? Him and half the people we meet. What is it about that place? Never underestimate the attraction of a mystery, my dear. Please take a seat, Terry. I'll be right with you. So, interested in ghost stories? The girl struck me as a forceful personality. I gave the matter some thought before replying. Not really, I'm just scouting on behalf of a client, like I had told the professor. You know, it's strange to see someone as young as you in the antiques trade. And come to think of it, I thought only old men dressed like that. No offense meant. None taken. I didn't catch your last name. It's O'Malley. Siobhan O'Malley. Couldn't be more Irish if I tried, could it? Sorry to keep you waiting, dear boy. Now then, what shall we talk about? Well, let's ask people about stuff. Ask about DeFoe. Wait, ask Siobhan about love. Ask Siobhan about sex. Flirt with Siobhan. Yes, I am one of those people who does this when they have a text parser. Well, give lockpicks to Siobhan. Perhaps I should try rephrasing that. Give lockpicks. Alright, so apparently I can't give anything to anyone. Let's just go ahead and play the game. Ask Abed about DeFoe. So I understand he came into possession of artifacts from DeFoe Manor. Yes, indeed. It was astonishing to me that such artifacts existed at all. The whole place burnt to the ground. Did you hear about the DeFoe Manor incident? I was experiencing a sick feeling that I had not felt for quite some time. The last I had felt, it was while standing at the gates of another country mansion, not long after DeFoe Manor, preparing to break in. Recalling those 5 wretched days turned my stomach with fear, turning what had once been the joy of thievery into an exercise in anxiety. Discussing it brought that feeling back, the act of feigning ignorance, while visions of welding masks and machetes flooded my mind's eye, worsened them. I heard something on the news. It's been on the news again lately, since that Taylor woman died. A lot of silly talk about the paranormal has been abound, so the true facts are near unreachable. But the point is, some enterprising fellows picked up 1 or 2 undamaged items from the ruins. Furniture, books, an ugly little tribal figurine. And I took them off their hands purely out of curiosity, of course. So, were there any particular items your client is interested in? Ask about chair. Ask Abed about chair. I didn't consider that subject relevant. Well, let's do the obvious. Ask Abed about DeFoe. Nope. I just did that about the idol. Tell me, does a huge man in a welding mask and a leather apron mean anything to you? Not really, should it? Never mind. It's a small African figurine that my client wants me to look into, resembling a rather ugly tribal god. That old thing. Honestly, despite its age, it's virtually valueless. That's what I said, but my client is very insistent. He's interested in the paranormal, and the idol features in some of the more unlikely accounts of the DeFoe Manor incident. Well, I don't suppose I should ask questions if this man of yours wants to take it off my hands. I don't have it on me right now. It's being kept in the hotel safe. Perhaps we can work out a deal after the fair. I had intended to display it with the other DeFoe artifacts. Inwardly, I just wanted to get this mission completed as fast as possible, but I didn't want to risk suspicion or giving off the wrong impression. That will be fine. So, just out of interest, what else have you picked up from the mansion? Odds and ends, basically. Some silverware, ceramics, most of a burnt rocking chair. And the painting, of course. Painting? A landscape from a wall in the mansion's lounge. Of little artistic value, but the artist features prominently in DeFoe Manor's colorful history. Matthew DeFoe. That's him, yes? Bethan, she runs the hotel. She asked if she could display it in the lobby. Instantly I recalled the sick feeling I'd felt in the lobby. I had seen the painting, but had paid it little heed. Oh, are you all right, Mr. Relby? You've gone rather pale. What? I'm sorry, I was just distracted by my thoughts for a moment. Lost in history, eh? Something like that. Oh, God. Oh, okay. Mr. Relby, what the hell's that? What the hell is what? You're just sitting there, then you went all stiff like you'd seen a ghost. You didn't see it. See what, Mr. Relby? I'm sorry, I have to go. Something's wrong. Oh, well, we won't keep you then. We'll see you later, maybe. My head was spinning, and a sudden nausea churned in my gut. The world seemed to be pulsating, the corners of the room wavering like a heat haze. You may say I imagine these things, and I thought that must have been the case. What was I going out of my mind? Was the hotel really changing into some nightmarish twin? Was I the only one who could see it? If I was hallucinating, it was too complex. The harsh wooden floor beneath my feet felt real enough. The horrendous stench of rotting flesh that reached my nostrils could not have been conjured by my imagination. I decided I had to find John DeFoe idol as soon as possible. If not that, then at least the painting Chahal had mentioned. I was convinced that some connection lay between DeFoe Manor and this sudden madness. Alright, so as a heads up, I've never played this game with headphones on, and I'm doing that right now, and it is terrifying because there's whispering coming through my headphones. Also, the professor is apparently the great ancestor of the captain of the ship that 7 Days a Skeptic occurs in. Those two share the same last name. That's terrifying. Okay, now, it is important to remember that I have played this before when I tried to do a blind playthrough. So I do know what to do. Just sort of... I'm a coward, so this is actually quite scary. Take papers. I wasn't close enough. Take papers. They appeared to be entries from a diary. July 18th. Felicia and I took shelter from the storm in a decrepit old hotel in the forest. It seemed to be completely deserted, so we bedded down on the floor of the lobby for the night. It's so peaceful here. The noise of the storm seems far away. Exploring the hotel has become increasingly clear that the place is not as innocent as it first seemed. We found ancient corpses and evidence of terrible deeds in several of the rooms. The storm has cleared, and we intend to leave as soon as possible. July 20th. I am certain now that devilry is at work. Every path we take through the forest brings us back to the hotel. We spent a whole day trying routes to no avail. Felicia keeps talking of a demon she fancies she saw in the hotel kitchen last night. July 21st. Felicia is dead. I was too late to help her. I saw her murderer just as she did. Perhaps I will be next. I'm beginning to understand. July 23rd. The mysterious figure in black, the one whose body is so savagely stretched into a mockery of form, is not the architect of this nightmare. Rather, this is the work of that hideous lord of the Forbidden Lands. Gods forgive me. July 25th. I built a shrine to my captor in the lobby, in an attempt to appease it. Nothing has changed. I have no more food. The horror is starting to affect my mind. July 28th. I am certain my mind is going. Oh, notice that he's no longer capitalizing any of his words here. I imagined for a moment that the hotel had changed, had become finely decorated and welcoming as it must have once been in the past. I blinked and it returned to its normal, hateful self. The next few pages were sprinkled with blood, obscuring some of the text. August 1st. What is his relationship to that disgusting beast? Is he a servant or a prisoner? Sometimes he acts alone, sometimes at the behest of a higher power. What does he want from me? August 3rd. He's after me now. I think I must have done something wrong. August 4th. It hurts. That was the last readable entry. I decided not to take them with me. They were covered in blood and all stuck together. Okay. What do I do next? Take the paper note. No, I don't want to do that again. I'm trying to get out of that. Alright, let's save. Alright, Scared to Death, number 1 from my old game. Let's continue the search, shall we? The lobby, too, had been tainted, and the painting I thought was absent. Presumably it only existed in the hotel's normal form. If that was the case, I needed to find a way back there and dispel my hallucination if this was truly all in my mind. At this stage, I was beginning to wonder if this really was at all John DeFoe's doing. It didn't seem his style somehow. But what other evil could be the culprit? The office door was locked. Someone had been tied down to the altar, flayed, and had their innards removed. By the looks of the horrible claw marks and broken fingernails, it had been alive at least part way into the procedure. Oh, that's fun. This is not so much. Ooh, look, video games are working. Play a game. Even if it weren't fully working order, I had far better things I could have been doing. Look at posters. The left poster was some kind of portrait of the strange masked figure I'd glimpsed in the hotel. The middle poster was blank. The third was smashed. Ooh. Okay, what in the hell? Take meat. I tore off a lump of meat to take with me. If I came up against anything hostile and carnivorous in this place, it would help to have something other than myself to offer. That's creepy. Look at table. Tables were universally hidden under tablecloths, yellow and stinking with age. There was a plate of rancid meat on the center one, adding its evil stench to the air. Look at corpse. The body had been completely flayed and still glistened wetly with blood. The hands and one of the feet were held in place around the door with 6-inch nails. Alright. I have lockpicks and a lump of meat. Press tab to close. Alright, so I have to find some way to get that body off of the door. Oh, what's that? Look at counter. In keeping with the alternate hotel's theme, the furniture looked like someone had been hurled against them with absolutely fatal force. Lying on the bar in a pool of gore was a pair of long-nosed pliers. Alright, let's go check those out. Pick up pliers. They were rusty but functional. I took them with me. Now that whispering is just... Ugh, it's all up inside of my ears right now. Use pliers on corpse. The pliers are ideal for removing the nails. Oh god. Oh, okay. Still scared, still scary, still scary. Never not scary. I wonder if Yahtzee was inspired by Slenderman. Okay, what's this? Look, the gloomy lavatories were in a state of advanced disrepair. One of the cubicle doors was hanging off its hinges, and the mirror above the counter was broken. Look in sink. The right sink was full of blood. The left one was merely dirty. Alright. Gloomy the mirror above the counter was broken. Well, I have to find some way out. Look in mirror. Crack and stains twisted my reflection into something most unpleasant. Right. So there's nothing in the sink. Am I dirty? Alright, so... It's funny how even having finished the game before, I'm actually scared right now. Oh, that's fun. Clabany hell. Ooh. Oh gods. Look at blood. Blood dotted the fence in places, as if people had been systematically executed against it. I don't like this music. I don't like this music. It's not really music. It's more like demonic whispering. Open the door and let's go inside. Let's go look around. Maybe we missed something. It's telling me to run, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Trilby actually can. If I'm correct, all of priest or prisoner, acolyte or slave. Look out window. The panes were cracked and bloodstained, and wooden boards blocked the view, apparently nailed haphazardly on from outside. I don't believe any of these are open. The door is stuck shut. Use lockpicks on door. I couldn't insert a lockpick. The lock appeared to have collapsed. Let's keep looking around. The door is stuck shut. Alright, well, this is fun. The door's stuck shut. So, we're basically stuck. I know I said I'd played it before, but the game is actually somewhat long, so in the most technical sense, it has been a while since I played this section. Open door. His body is here, his soul is not. Oh, I actually know what that means, having finished the game. Okay, that's creepy. Blood spatters covered every wall and surface in the room, as if someone had lost a fight with some horrible beast here. Metal tables and some kind of stone altar all showed evidence of recent slaughter. A mangled old sofa stood in one corner. Examine sofa. The sofa was rotting green color, and some kind of sharp weapon had created a slash across the fetid cushions. Examine bed. Where once there had been a bed, there was now some kind of stone altar. Chains and manacles indicated that it was for sacrificial purposes. Oh, that's great. Yep, door stuck shut. And the investigation continues. On to the 3rd floor, which I believe is the highest floor in the building, except for the rooftop, which is right above me. Man, not man. Open door, door stuck shut. Open door, door stuck shut. Open door. Okay, what the hell? My room had slipped into the shadow world. The walls and floor were filthy. The furniture had been replaced with instruments of suffering. Look at bed. Blood-stained stone altar replaced the bed. Alright, but still nothing for us to do. I think that one reason why they make you go through all this is just to sort of put the fear of the occult into you. That's why it takes so long. Bring her back. Bring who back? Look at the doll. It looked like some kind of porcelain mannequin, but with bits missing. I couldn't see how it was attached to the wall. Alright, well, I've tried every room. I've gone outside. I've looked at the doll. I've read the papers. I can't imagine what else I have to do at this point. Although, I do want this damned whispering to stop. Like, it's incessant. It's all... Ugh, it's like it's creeping into my chest. The body was that of a young, muscular man, I hazarded, and was wearing some kind of old-fashioned military uniform, complete with blue tunic and riding boots. More to the point, his head was missing, and his hands were worn down to bloody wads of flesh and bone. I noticed a collection of handwritten pages on the floor near his body. That's great. I don't believe you can die in the game. That doesn't mean I'm comforted. Some of the pigeonholes contained disembodied organs and entrails which presumably belonged inside the creature on the altar. A pentagram had been scrolled into the north wall, and a cow's skull had been nailed in place over it. Seemed to be some kind of offering. Now that's comforting. I want to get out of here. I could hardly get the door open with 3 wooden boards holding it shut. Open door. Kitchen doors refuse to open. So... look in sink. Right sink was full of blood. Left one was merely dirt. Look at counter. 2 sinks has come. To my surprise, a brand new sealed envelope was sitting between the basins. There we go. Open envelope. Baffled, I took the envelope. It was strangely bulky and tore it open. A white pill bottle and a note fell out into my hand. I here enclosed a note with this report. Trilby, if you're reading this, then you too have seen the hotel change. At present, I have no idea if the alternative hotel is part of the ethereal realm or some kind of construct, a pocket dimension. There is a definitive correlation between one's level of agitation and one's tendency to reality shift. Fear is your enemy, but leaves you shining like a beacon for whatever evil brought us to this place. Enclosed is a bottle of tranquilizers from my personal first aid kit. When you find yourself shifting into the other place, take a pill and try to calm down, and the real hotel will return. Do not let it concern you. I'm researching the phenomenon. Your task is to find DeFoe. Good luck. Agent Lankman. Lankman's letter raised more questions than it answered. I pocketed the pill bottle. Right, so now let's take a pill. Hesitantly, I tipped a tranquilizer into my palm and swallowed it without water. It quickly took effect. I felt the anxiety lift from the pit of my stomach, and my dismal surroundings seemed to feel less imposing. Then, I felt that strange sensation again of lightheadedness and detachment as the world around me began to quiver. Ooh. And we're back. The toilets were so clean and well maintained that the very tiles of the floor seemed to glow with luminescence. The mirror above the counter was spotless and crystal clear. Well, seems everything's back to normal. Open door. It is somewhat interesting playing this through again for a second time, picking up on details that I missed the first time through. Even if it were fully working, I had far better things I could have been doing. Alright, so Trilby's not much for games, especially not when the world is being possessed by some sort of Slender Man. But we do have access to the office. The office door was locked. Use lockpicks. I had encountered far stronger locks in my time. I picked it open within 10 minutes. Open door. Oh, look at all this. What have we got here? The air in the hotel was swimming with dust. The proprietors clearly felt that record-keeping was more of a formality than a necessity. In the corner of the room was a diminutive but sturdy steel safe. Examine desk. There was virtually nothing on the desk, and it lacked a chair. Obviously, very little work was actually done here. Alright, let's open the safe. I hadn't had cause to crack safes for some time, but my hands instantly went into automatic, the thieving mindset returning like an old friend. When the job was done and the safe opened, my nostalgia faded into puzzlement when I found it empty. Just for once, I'd like to crack a safe that actually contained something. Is that so much to ask? Maybe, Trilby. Maybe. I think we've got more to worry about at this point, though. Let's examine that painting. I was frankly astonished that Matthew Defoe's painting had survived the immolation of Defoe Manor. As I stared at it, it seemed that the surrounding room began to blur, until only the painting was in focus. I fancied I could hear the creaks and whispers of Defoe Manor's hallways. I felt a bizarre urge to reach out and touch the painting. And maybe that's a sign. Touch the painting. As I stepped closer, I could feel a sound becoming muffled and my head spinning, as if I were about to faint. My hand, as if pulled by an invisible string, reached out towards the clumsy brushstrokes. Oh, flashback. Defoe Manor, July 28th, AD 1821. Matthew Defoe is 15 years old today. He's excitedly putting the finishing touches to a painting which his father commented on encouragingly, the first time he has ever been supportive of Matthew's artistic leanings. Matthew is now convinced that his father is lifting from the mysterious depression that has plagued him for as long as either of them can remember. Now he intends to make the painting absolutely perfect before showing it again. Knock knock. Master Matthew. Sir Roderick has requested your presence in the trophy room. Thank you, James. And if you would be so good to inform him that I will now be retiring for the night. Very good, James. Oh, took the painting automatically. Ah, there you are, boy. Let me introduce my son, Matthew. Hello? This is my friend, Mr. Smith. He's an expert on African tribal art. Well, just a scholar. Hardly even that. Just someone with an interest in the subject. And he has offered to assess the figurine I brought back from my travels. I wasn't aware you had a family, Sir Roderick. Is your wife home too? Regrettably, Belinda is no longer with us. Oh, I'm sorry. Quite all right, you couldn't have known. She succumbed to illness shortly after Matthew was born. I've finished the painting I showed you, Father. Oh, good. Well, Mr. Smith, what do you think of the piece? It's an intriguing little puzzler, actually. Design is reminiscent of a few Central African tribal gods I'm aware of. But to be honest, I've never seen anything like this before. May I ask how you acquired it? I'm glad you asked. It was 20 years ago, when I was a younger man, on my first travels in the Dark Continent. We were traveling along the west coast when our bears spotted a ship that had run aground. It was an English clipper, named the Sea Angel, and a short exploration revealed that every single crewman had just disappeared. Of course, we immediately sent a letter to the nearest embassy to report the finding. But the point is, it was on the lowest deck of the ship that I found this very figurine you see before you today. What an extraordinary tale! But how do you account for there being an African tribal carving on a British vessel? We were as confused as you are. It wasn't a slave trading vessel, but there must have been a Negro on the crew. I hate that word, by the way. It has been a personal mystery of mine ever since. I was hoping you could shed a little light on the matter. But there is more to tell. I haven't even begun to recount the strange events that have surrounded this artifact. Would you care for a glass of brandy? Thank you, that would be most kind. Matthew, fetch the brandy from the kitchen, and some glasses. Yes, Father. It's like Tiny Tim over here. Take brandy. Matthew took the brandy bottle and a pair of appropriate glasses. Bang, bang. Hello. You haven't tried to speak to me in a while. Bang, bang. I did another painting today. I showed it to Father. He said it was rather promising. I keep trying to tell him about you, but he never listens. You haven't knocked for me in so long, I was beginning to wonder. Bang, bang. Hi, do you want to see my painting? Bang, bang. I'm not sure how I get it through this door. Well, let's go. Open door. Mrs. Beaton didn't like it when people went into her pantry. Now, in the future, by 5 Days a Stranger, this is no longer a pantry. This is the exit into the backyard where the swimming pool is. What's on this table, by the way? Look at table. Above the sideboard, there was a row of assorted utensils and knives. And someone had left a brown leather apron on the kitchen table. Oh, gods. Oh, gods. Take apron. Matthew saw no purpose for it and didn't want to interfere with other people's possessions. So that apron is what his brother will use when murdering the two of them. By the way, if you haven't played 5 Days a Stranger, do not be watching this video. I mean, if you watch a playthrough, mine isn't the best because there was some video issues, but watch a playthrough of it, if nothing else, before you go through this game. Matthew could fathom no purpose for the blades. Push painting under door. I'm pushing the painting under your door, okay? Just give it back when you're finished. How dare you, sir? You intrude on my hospitality and insult my judgment. That's Father. Get out of my house, you worm. I'd better see what's the matter. Inventory. How could I, Trilby, possibly have known what Matthew was carrying that day? I like how everything takes place in the form of notes written up after the case is solved. Father? Oh, it's you. Father, what happened? I heard shouting. That old fool told me some rubbish about my figurine. Said the only tribe it could have come from all died in slavery years ago. Actually had the nerve to accuse me of buying from a forger. I'm sorry, Father. What are you apologizing for? Where's that damn brandy? I've got it here. Give it to me. I'll go back to my room, Father. Show me your painting. Father? You said you had a painting. Show it to me. I can't, Father. And why not? Because. Come on, why not? Out with it. Because I gave it to the boy behind the door. I see. Father? Go back to your room, boy. I have to write my diary entry. Yes, Father. An hour of silence passed, and Matthew grew concerned about his father. Strangely, the most disturbing thing had been Sir Roderick's reaction to Matthew mentioning the boy behind the door. In the past, raising this had usually provoked a violent rage, or an instant flat denial. Matthew wondered what sort of anxiety was going through his father's mind. Smash! What was that? Father, what are you doing? Run, Timmy, run! Run for your life. Nope. Run away, run away. Open door. Matthew needed to know what was beyond the forbidden door. Take brandy. That was not necessary again. You sink. I should probably be more specific. Open door. Blah, blah, blah. Look through window. Matthew stared blankly. Take knife. We should really take the knife, young Timothy. Or Matthew. Open door. Matthew was confused by his own reluctance. He had longed to see what was beyond the door his entire life, but now, given the chance, he was struck with fear. He peered cautiously through and saw a set of rough stone steps leading down to some kind of basement. Ooh. I should have done this the moment you came into this world, demon child. May God forgive me for having a part in your creation. Father, what are you doing? Do you see what you've done? I didn't want him to see this. Do you see what you've done? Father, no. Father. Father. Ooh, smack. Bam. Ooh, oh God. Boo. Ah. Apologies, dear boy, but I couldn't resist. You look so lost in the painting, I don't think you even saw me come in. What? What? Is everything alright, Terry? Yes, everything's fine. Just, for a moment there, I thought I saw. Never mind. Seabine were talking about you after you ran out of the room. I said you seemed like something was making you terribly anxious. Frankly, I still think that's the case. It's okay, really, I am. Well, if you're sure. I was certain my mind was not playing tricks on me. I had been back there, in DeFoe Manor, looking through the eyes of Matthew DeFoe. I had seen the events that had created John DeFoe. I saw his death at the hands of Sir Roderick, that terrible, violent end that would bring him back as that awful wraith. But somehow, seeing that event, it is clear to me that there was more to this than the ghost of one retarded youth. Retarded youth. I like that. There had been something very wrong about that idol, even before it was used to destroy John DeFoe. A name stood out in my memory, the Sea Angel, the name of the ship on which Sir Roderick had found the figurine. I now had a lead. Professor, do you know anything about a ship called the Sea Angel? You know, it's funny you should mention that name. There's a really old wooden chisel among the DeFoe Manor artifacts. And the words Sea Angel are carved into the handle. Where is this chisel? Out on display in the convention hall next to the dining room. What's all this about, Terry? It's nothing. It's just a little side project my clients want me to get onto. Thank you for your help. No problem. Take care of yourself. Right, so two things. I'm going to call it an end because the game is roughly divided into 6 different chapters, and so we're going to look at this really quickly. Look at counter. Reception desk was a cheap pine affair and unadorned with papers or materials. Someone appeared to have left the matchbox on the desktop. So I'll take the matchbox. Only one match left. Took it anyway. And then look at this. Look at the painting. I was frankly astonished that Matthew DeFoe's painting had survived the immolation of DeFoe Manor. Someone had stuck a piece of paper under the frame, perhaps for me to find. Pick up paper. It was a page from a religious book I wasn't familiar with. I here enclose it with these notes. Victim 5, the child. The 5th man who desired judgment was the child, whose father held the carving of the slave. The prince came to him, and was at once rightly pleased with what he found, for the house of the child and his father already knew well the name of the king. And as the prince watched, the child was thrown down by his father, and broken with the wood of the prince's soul. But as the child's body, mind, and soul began to drift apart, the prince held them together, and he said, You are the child, and to you I grant power, for I see in you the potential that will grant my father the king his greatest wish. Ye shall not be of the land of technology, nor of the realm of magic, but of both, and thus ye shall form the bridge. And across the bridge the king shall come to bring his message to the men of technology. Through you, child, the bridge will come, and thus I name you the bridge keeper. And the prince touched the child, and he was the bridge keeper, and his 3 aspects were granted power, so that his soul would join with the prince's soul in the wood of the tree. And the bridge keeper rose up, and threw down his father, and threw down his brother, and truly did they know the name of the king, and into the house of his father went the body and the mind of the bridge keeper. That's actually quite important, and it will make sense by the end of the game. However, for now, we're going to call it save. Scared to death. I guess we can place it at number 2. So we're on to chapter 2. Replace. And for now, I'll be calling it day. Thank you for tuning in to the first chapter of Trilby's Notes. And until next time, I will see you later. So this is Daiichi signing off.